Today we're making the best homemade granola using real whole ingredients, and we're doing it without any oil. This is my absolute favorite granola treat. There's just so many different ways that you can eat it. Stick around for a bonus tip that guarantees granola that's perfectly sweet and crunchy every single time. Plus, I'll show you how to tweak this recipe to customize it however you like. But first, let me show you how I make it because it's so freaking good. So let's get started. Most granola recipes tend to rely on oil as their source of fat, but we're doing something much healthier today. We're using cashew cream instead. It's rich, it's creamy, and it helps the granola to stay crunchy, all without a drop of oil. It's actually super simple to make, and nothing can compare. So let's show you how to make it, and I can do that in only 14 seconds. You're gonna pour a half a cup of water onto 1 cup of soaked raw cashews and then blend until it's smooth and creamy. Now, you may need to stop and scrape down the edges a couple of times, but once it's done, it should look like this. Pretty easy, right? Yeah. Next, measure out 1/3 cup of cashew cream and add it to a medium to large size bowl. The rest can be stored in the refrigerator or freezer for later use. Drop in 1 large, overly ripe banana, and the riper the better. I'll put a couple tricks to help you ripen your bananas fast down in the description so you don't have to wait to try out this recipe. Feel free to share your own tips in the comments too. I'm using a fork to mash mine, but it doesn't really matter what you use as long as your bananas become soft and spreadable, almost like a thick paste. Ideally, you'd keep going until it's lump-free and consistent, but my bananas are so ripe that I know they'll break down even more once I mix everything together. Sprinkle in a 1/4 teaspoon salt, add a 1/4 teaspoon ground nutmeg, 1/4 teaspoon cinnamon, and a 1/2 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. Give it all a good stir. The goal is to combine everything thoroughly so the spices meld together and create an amazing base for our granola. With that ready, measure out 1 tablespoon of flax seeds. And since I'm guessing you want to be able to absorb all the nutrients like omega-3s and fiber, you're going to want to grind your flax seeds yourself, because store-bought ground flax has likely lost a lot of its nutrients by the time it reaches your pantry. A coffee grinder is the perfect way to grind your flax. It's quick, it's easy, and it's cheap. I'll link to the one I use in the description below. Chia seeds are up next, just 1 tablespoon straight into the bowl. We'll also include 1 tablespoon of hemp hearts. Add 1 tablespoon of pumpkin seeds, and then 2 tablespoons of sliced almonds, even though I'm using a heaping tablespoon today. Since this is my favorite banana bread inspired granola, toss in 2 tablespoons of chopped pecans. I'm using whole pecans, so I'll roughly chop a giant tablespoon to get the right size. Once that's finished, toss everything into the bowl and stir it all together. Make sure every ingredient is coated evenly. This is key for the flavor and texture. At this point, the base is ready and it's time to add the star ingredient, our oats. But don't go anywhere, because there's still a secret step coming up that takes this granola from good to absolutely irresistible. We're gonna add 2 cups of sprouted rolled oats. These oats are the foundation of that classic delightful crispiness we're going for. I like to use 1 degree organic rolled oats because they're not just any oats, they're sprouted, which may help make them easier to digest. And they're certified gluten-free. Plus, 1 degree sources their oats from family farms that use sustainable organic practices. So you know you're getting a product that's good for you and the planet. With the oats in the bowl, it's time to mix everything thoroughly. This step is important. It's what creates that golden finish and signature crunch. Take your time to ensure every oat is coated and check for any dry spots hiding at the bottom. As you stir, you'll notice the oats starting to absorb the liquid and everything will get a little bit sticky. That's exactly what we want. From here, Gently fold in a quarter cup of puffed quinoa. Now, be careful not to crush it because you want to keep that light, satisfying texture intact. If you listen closely, you can hear the snap, crackle, and pops. It's like a little trip back to Saturday mornings watching cartoons with a big bowl of Rice Krispies on my lap. Now that everything's combined and smelling amazing, don't forget, there's still that secret bonus tip coming up. It's a quick, game-changing step that'll take this granola to the next level. Stick around, you won't want to miss it. It's time to take a half-sheet baking pan lined with parchment paper and pour our granola mixture onto it. After that, we'll spread the granola out evenly, pressing it down gently. Now, you'll want to pack it in tightly if you love large, satisfying clusters, or you can scatter it loosely for smaller bite-sized pieces. The spacing also helps the granola bake evenly and toast perfectly. I'm curious, how do you like your granola? Big chunky clusters or smaller crispy nuggets? It's time to slide our tray into our preheated oven and set the timer for 25 minutes. Ovens can be a little unpredictable, so keep an eye on your granola to ensure that it bakes evenly. We want it to turn golden, not burnt. After 25 minutes, pull out that tray and stir the granola, breaking up any large clusters. If you love chunky bites, leave them intact. When you're finished, just spread the granola evenly again and bake for another 10 minutes. Once your timer's up, lower your temperature down to 200 degrees Fahrenheit and remove your tray from the oven. Next, we're adding freeze-dried bananas. Unlike banana chips, these are free of added sugars and oils, and perfect for this recipe. Chop the freeze-dried bananas into small pieces and then sprinkle them over the granola. This adds a light fruity crunch that balances the nutty flavors perfectly. At this point, the granola is already amazing, but we're about to elevate it even further. But before I share this final game-changing step, let's talk about something you might be wondering. What if you don't have all of these exact ingredients? Maybe you have allergies, dietary restrictions, or just personal preferences. No need to worry. That's exactly why I created the Irresistible Granola Framework. A simple, customizable system that lets you swap ingredients while still getting that perfect crunch, flavor, and texture. Whether you need a nut-free version, want to experiment with different grains, or just want to use what you already have, this framework makes it easy to make the granola truly your own. And I'll walk you through it right after I share the bonus tip I promised. A quick and easy glaze that transforms this granola into something extra special with just 3 simple ingredients. In a small bowl, we'll add our secret weapon, a half teaspoon of white balsamic vinegar. I know this isn't a traditional ingredient, but this tiny amount balances the sweetness and adds depth. Next, we'll mix in 1 tablespoon of date paste and 2 tablespoons of pure maple syrup. And then we're gonna whisk until it's nice and smooth. If you don't have white balsamic vinegar or date paste, check the description for links. I've got you covered. Or just stick around because I'm about to share some easy substitutions. With the glaze mixed, we'll drizzle it over the granola, making sure every oat gets coated. This is what takes it from good to unbelievably addictive. And here's the key. Take your time stirring. Every cluster needs to be well coated, otherwise it won't have that magic. And trust me, you want every bite of this oilless granola to blow your mind. That means a lot of stirring until the liquid is fully absorbed. Now we'll spread the granola into a thin, even layer. And for the final touch, a sprinkle of flaky sea salt. I'm using Maldon, my go-to for its perfect delicate finish. This step enhances every flavor, so if you can, don't skip it. Then back into the oven for 20 more minutes, stirring halfway through to ensure the clusters dry out and crisp up. Once it's done, remove the tray from the oven and let the granola cool completely, stirring occasionally. As it cools, the glaze sets, creating a lightly caramelized finish that's irresistible. And here's what makes this even better. This glaze isn't just for this granola recipe. It works with tons of flavors. That's why I created the Irresistible Granola Framework, a simple way to swap ingredients and make every batch unique. To make this even easier, I've designed a graphic showing the exact amounts for each component, plus ingredient ideas to mix and match. So let's take a look. With just 2 cups of rolled oats as your base, you have endless flexibility to swap and customize ingredients while keeping everything wholesome, oil-free, and delicious. First, we need a rich, satisfying fat to help everything crisp up without oil. Then something naturally sweet and sticky to hold it all together. Instead of refined sugar, we're using whole fruits. This keeps the granola moist and helps it caramelize beautifully. Now let's add some crunch and healthy fats. Nuts and seeds bring texture and extra nutrition to every bite. To boost the crispy, crunchy texture, we're adding an extra grain or 2. These light, airy additions ensure your granola bakes up golden and crispy. And finally, flavor boosters. Whether you're going for warm and spiced, bright and fruity, or deep and chocolatey, this is where you make the granola truly yours. A little goes a long way in creating bold, balanced flavors. But we're not stopping there, because one last component takes this granola to the next level, a sweet glaze. This simple step locks in flavor, adds the perfect amount of caramelization, and elevates every crunchy bite. By swapping ingredients within these categories, you'll always end up with perfectly balanced granola, crispy, flavorful, naturally sweet, and 100% you. Now that the granola is completely cool, I'm transferring it to a glass canister. This keeps it fresh and perfectly crunchy for weeks, if it actually even lasts that long. And now it's time to eat. You can snack on it straight from the jar, sprinkle it over overnight oats, layer it into a fruit and yogurt parfait, or you can eat it like cereal with milk. But listen, if you think this granola is good, wait until you see what's next. Click here and check it out.